Austria. It is a beautiful country in Central Europe with almost 9 million people, where Austrians, the main ethnic group, are around 83% of the population. Austrians, in German Österreicher, are a Germanic nation, an ethnic group native to modern Austria. The German language is spoken by these people. There isn't a language called the Austrian language. The name of this country, Österreich, derives from the Old High German, which meant Eastern Realm, and appeared for the first time in a document of the year 1996. Austria is an old state dating back hundreds of years ago, being one of the German duchies and states which were present in Central Europe, and it was part of the Holy Roman Empire. But after some centuries, and I'm going to present some details in a few minutes, due to some historical facts sprinkled with some nationalism, the German state was born and the ethnic ideal of the Germans had been reached. But Austria didn't join Germany. Somehow, somewhere things didn't click, as in that times and as today. Austrians are related as ethnic Germans. They are speaking the language and they have similar traditions and culture. Of course, some differences existed and still exist in German space from north to south, but you get the idea. Knowing all this, we can ask ourselves, why isn't Austria part of Germany? To find the answer, we have to dig deep into history. This land was part of the Frankish Empire, which collapsed at some point and was divided in three parts. West Francia, which will become France, Middle Francia, which will be divided and annexed in time, and East Francia, which will become the German kingdom, later known as the Holy Roman Empire. Austria came under the rule of the German king Rudolf I of Habsburg, beginning a dynasty that would last through 7 centuries. The 15th and early 16th century saw considerable expansion of the Habsburg territories. By the 16th centuries, Austria had also inherited the kingdoms of Bohemia and Hungary, and in the next decades the state had difficult times in war and diplomacy against the Ottomans or anti-Habsburgs, but they managed that tough situation pretty well, and slowly in time, Austria became bigger and surely a big power in the region and the biggest German force. After the Napoleonic Wars, the Holy Roman Empire ceased to exist, and Congress of Vienna was held in order to create a long peace in Europe. After this Congress, Austria became part of the German Confederation, which was an association of 39 German-speaking states in Central Europe. But Austria wasn't the single German power in the region anymore. The Confederation was weakened by revolution and by rivalry between Kingdom of Prussia and the Austrian Empire. In 1848, revolutions by liberals and nationalists attempted to establish a unified German state with a progressive liberal constitution under the Frankfurt Convention, but it was a failure. The German state wasn't established yet. The Austro-Prussian War happened in 1866, in which Prussia imposed as the major German power. The war meant the end of the German Confederation and the creation of the North German Confederation, which was a federal new state. This was a Prussian attempt to form the German nation. In the Austrian case, the Austria-Hungary Compromise happened, in which Hungary re-established its sovereignty after some centuries. The German Empire, or Deutsche Reich, was established in 1871 after a war between Prussia and France. This new empire was dominated and unified by Prussia, which wanted to gain control over all countries with German ethnics. They were ruled by the family of Hohenzollern. Meanwhile, Austria was a country ruled by the Habsburgs, and still a big power. Now in a dualism, the size of the empire was the second largest in Europe, and if we are speaking about the number of people, it was the third after Russia and Germany, with 55 million people. Meanwhile, the Habsburgs were busy in their power games in south. In the north, Prussia stabilized its region until it came under a unified empire. So politics and ideologies of some royal families were critical in what would happen in the history of Germans. The German Empire was mainly based on German ethnicity and nationality. Meanwhile, the Austrian Empire, with its new name Austria-Hungary, was a multi-ethnic empire in which many culturally different ethnicities existed. Austrians and Hungarians were minorities in this empire. Again, the Habsburgs focused on its internal problems. The empire started to feel the rise of nationalism. Until the First World War, the German Empire and Austria-Hungary were still rivals on the dominance of Central Europe. Before the First World War, when Europe was in turmoil, two teams were made, the Entente and the Triple Alliance. The Triple Alliance, or the Central Powers, was created by Germany, Austria-Hungary and Italy in 1882. This period is very important to take in consideration because somehow, even if the German state was born and it was a power in Europe, Austria was left outside the German borders, ruling a stretched empire with so many nationalities in it. The conflict started in 1914, as we probably know, I hope you do. Italy didn't join the Central Powers and switched to Entente, and even if the Central Powers had some victories on both fronts, the situation was hard to manage and the war was lost for them. The rebellions and the rise of nationalism in this empire reached its peak. If you want to learn more about why did Austria-Hungary collapse, I already made a video about that and you can check that out in the description. After this major great conflict, some nations gained their independence or their freedom. Austria was reduced to a small country due to the ethnicity living in this space. From 1918 to 1938, a period of stability existed. Somehow, because the country was after the war and it couldn't be possible to reach a full peace and stability in this territory. The administration was changed. The old borders were broken and the new ones brought some frustration and anger to the population and to the new country. As I said, both nations were frustrated in some way. There existed support from people in both Austria and Germany for a union of these two countries. After the empire collapsed, a new republic was proclaimed, the Republic of German Austria in 1918. A feeling for the union existed, but the Allies blocked the idea, and after the Treaty of Saint-Germain, the country changed its name from German Austria to Republic of Austria. After this massive loss for these two countries, the right-wing nationalist parties started to grow. The new Weimar Republic in Germany proved to be a pretty bad administration, and the economic crisis hit harder in the population. The support for the new party grew in Germany, and in 1933 they had the power. Adolf was an Austrian-born German at the border with Germany. He saw the poverty and the problems, and through frustration and anger, he dreamed to a big unified prosperous Germany, believing that Austria is a true German land, separate from its Vaterland, due to the politics and due to the pride of monarchs. The Anschluss of Austria happened in 1938 at the pressure of the Germans. But even some of the Austrians wanted this union at that time, believing that with this union the total German unification could bring more wealth, happiness and prosperity. Germany lost the war in the final. Again, Austria gained its independence and the country was divided between West and East Germany, so from 1 to 3 German-speaking countries. After the Second World War, there has been no serious effort among the citizens or political parties to unite Germany and Austria. The Allied and associated powers declared that political or economic union between Austria and Germany is prohibited. The Austrian State Treaty forbids such a union, and the constitution required Austrian neutrality. Austria began to develop a separate national identity from Germany. In 1987, just 6% identified as Germans. Also, many more know that they are speaking the German language, they are brothers or same people by ethnicity, but Austria maintained itself separated, having a big history behind, in which wasn't part of an unified Germany. These reasons about its history, plus in addition the fact that they managed to remain separated after the Second World War, developing its identity, plus the fact that they are focusing more on differences instead of similarities. Knowing that a slightly difference in accent and in language exists here and there, and because of religion, which could be a major role in their separation, both nations are EU and Schengen members, and the people have the free will to pass from one to another country. Practically these countries have no such restrictions, and it's like a real one country but with separate governments. In this case, for many, a union could be seen as uselessness. What do you think about that? Should Germans from both countries unite or stay the same? Tell me in the comment section. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and see you next time.